For the setup of the game, give each player a health counter card, starter deck, and a unique class card. Each starter deck contains 7 minor babies and 3 other starter decks from your class. All of the starting deck cards are labeled in the upper right hand corner of the card. Each player starts off with 20 health and gets a special ability that you can use throughout the game from the class card. Place the class card over the health counter. As you lose health, slide the class card down the health counter to keep track of your current health. Set aside any leftover cards from the game. With a 4-player game, there will be no leftover cards. Divide rest of the cards into 4 separate decks to be placed in the center of the playing area. A battle plans deck, a character deck, and 2 ration decks. Shuffle and place all of the battle plans face down in the center of the playing area. Then flip over 5 battle plans in a row to the left of the deck. Do the same thing to the babies deck, which includes all of the special, warrior, villain, and ugly class babies. The ration cards are separated into 2 face-up decks, one consisting of the princess babies and the other of king babies. This area setup is known as the card market, where babies and battle plans can be acquired from rations. Rations are the currency of the game and identified as a baby bottle. For your card management, place your personal starter deck to the right hand side of you face down. Shuffle the deck and deal yourself 5 cards. To your left hand side is where you discard your used or defeated babies from your army. Whenever you run out of cards from your personal deck, take your discard pile, shuffle it, and place it to the right of you as your new deck. This is how the babies you recruit will stay in your army for the rest of the game. Here's some card symbols that you'll need to know for playing the game. Rations. These are the baby bottles and the currency for the game for acquiring the cards. Cards with attack symbols are the cards that you use to deal damage to opponents. Cards with shields on them are the defense, and they're used to block an opponent's attack. There are 3 different card types you'll need to know for gameplay: active babies, passive babies, and battle plans. Active babies are played during your turn. In the lower area of the card, there will be symbols or text describing the action that is taken when playing the cards. Active babies are played during the action phase of the game, and then during the cleanup phase, they will be discarded into your personal discard pile. Passive babies are very similar to active babies, but have a slightly different card design and use. During the cleanup phase, the passive babies stay out in the playing field in front of you instead of being discarded. Throughout an opponent's turn, abilities on these cards may still be active, and all passive babies have shields that resemble their defense value. Defense is how you can block attacking damage from opponents on their turn. You are only allowed to have 3 passive babies out in play at a time. If you already have 3 out but want to play another passive baby, you will have to discard one of the passive babies in play and replace it with the new one. Battle plan cards are one-time use cards. Instead of holding the battle plans in your hand or your deck, you hold the battle plan cards next to your deck in a separate pile. You are only allowed to hold 3 battle plans at a time, but can view them and play them any turn. You may not play battle plans the same turn that they were purchased. You have to wait until your turn is over to be able to play them. When you play a battle plan, you will place it in a discard pile next to the battle plans deck instead of your personal discard pile. Certain battle plans can be played out of turn if stated on the card. This game has 2 different turn phases, the action phase and the cleanup phase. The action phase is the main phase of the game, where you use the cards from your hand to perform various abilities and attack opponents. During your turn, you can decide whether to play a card from your hand, keep it in your hand, or discard it. During the action phase, you can buy, activate passive abilities, heal, refresh the card market, retire starter babies, or attack. Cards can be acquired on your turn from the card market. The currency of the game, rations, look like baby bottles. These icons appear either on the top right hand corner of the card or the lower part of the card. The amount of bottles in the lower effect area of the card is the current value that player is allowed to spend on recruiting babies or acquiring battle plans for that turn. The baby bottle symbol in the top right corner indicates the card's cost. There's no limit to the number of cards you can purchase per turn, and each time a card is bought, the next card from the top of its respective deck is flipped over in its place. When a character card is purchased, the card is placed directly into your discard pile. When a battle plan is purchased, it is placed next to your deck in a separate pile. Some passive babies have special abilities that activate during certain points of the game. During your turn, you may have the opportunity to use the ability of a passive baby. For example, if you have a cyborg baby in play and then play a battle plan, that cyborg baby's special ability is to deal 1 damage when you play a battle plan. One effect from a baby or a battle plan could be to heal yourself. When healing, you slide up your health counter the number of health points that is being restored, and you cannot exceed the starting amount from the game. At any point during your turn, you may use 2 ration cards to replace all of the current cards in one of the rows in the card market, revealing all new cards. Another turn action is to retire starter babies. All cards from your starting deck have a red trash can symbol on them. This symbol means that instead of playing the card, you can take the card completely out of your baby army and thus removing it from the game. The last action that you can perform during a turn is to attack. When dealing damage, you must play all of the cards you're wanting to use to deal damage and then declare where you are directing that damage to. When playing with 2 or more players, you can split up that damage between players. If you had a baby that was dealing 2 damage and then a battle plan that dealt 3, you would then have 5 total damage to deal out that turn to any player. When you're attacking, you're dealing damage to the players directly and not to the passive babies in play. After a player declares their attack, the opponents will have the opportunity to defend using their passive babies or battle plans. Each shield icon on the passive babies resemble 1 defense. 1 defense can block any 1 attack damage from an opponent. Once you defend any amount of damage with a baby, that baby is then discarded into your personal discard pile. Even if you're being attacked with 1 damage, you can still defend with a baby that has 3 defense. That baby is still discarded. If you are being attacked with multiple damage, you can split the defense up among multiple passive babies. For example, if your opponent is dealing 4 damage to you total, you can use a 3 defense baby and a 1 defense baby to defend all of that damage. Both babies are then discarded. If you are being attacked and have some but an insufficient amount of defense, you may still defend. You would then discard the baby or battle plan you used to defend with, and then take the remaining damage. If you are attacked, you can decide not to defend with any of the babies in play in order to preserve them for later turns. Anytime you attack and do not defend, you must lower your health counter card that same value. After you're done with all of your actions for that turn, you enter the cleanup phase. During the cleanup phase, you place all active babies played that turn into your personal discard pile. Any passive babies played during your turn are left out in front of you to defend for future oncoming attacks. If you played battle plans that turn, make sure to discard them in the discard pile next to the battle plans deck in the card market. If you did not play some of the cards in your hand, you may decide whether to keep them for next turn or discard them. The last step in the player's turn is to draw up to 5 cards for their next turn. You lose the game when your health reaches 0, meaning your baby army is defeated. You win the game when your baby army is the last army standing. When all of your opponents are eliminated from the game, you emerge victorious and start your baby tyranny. For a PDF version of the rules, visit stuffedhorsegames.com/battlebabiesgame.